Molo Sanbonani, hello, how's it? Good morning, good morning, good morning. It's Friday, yeah, bo. As always, on a Friday, it's super exciting to be bringing you Vuka Nazo, your morning news analysis show. My name is Usihle Ngobese, aka Big Daddy Liberty. Now, remember, it's quite simple. Whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube, please, all you need to do is hit that like button, of course, the share button, and if it is on YouTube in particular, help me reach my goal of 50,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and hit that subscribe button, please, and join the over 41,600 of you now who are parts and fans of the show. Guys, remember, if you want to support our work that we do here financially, and remember, we are wholly indebted on you guys who do that. Anything between 50 to 100 Rand a month, 75 Rand a month is about the average. All you need to do is go to our website, find a payment method there that suits you at bigdaddyliberty.com. Now, enough with the jabber. It's Friday, people, which means, of course, we might have a champ of the week or a Moemish of the week. Nonetheless, let's get straight into the news. All right, in what is a developing and indeed the latest on this particular matter, you know we've spoken about the information that came out via sources in the independent group of newspapers that 3 men had been effectively, or 4 men rather, had been arrested in connection with the murder of AKA, that's South African rapper Keenan Forbes. We now know that 3 have been released and 1 is said to have appeared yesterday in court. Let me read from this independent piece, which I must say have kept really abreast on the matter, even though the police themselves have come out and say, hey man, stop with the speculation. These aren't, they're not willing at least to comment on whether these arrests have anything to do with the AKA murder. But nonetheless, as I said, let me read from this independent piece that gives the latest. Now, according to attorney advocate Annelien van der Heever, who flew in from Gauteng early on Thursday morning to represent the accused, she said the 3 men were released late on Wednesday evening, more than 48 hours after they were initially arrested in Belhar, that's in Cape Town. Of course, they've since gone into hiding as their names have been shared on social media and they fear for their safety. Now, of course, they've gone into hiding. You know, this is a very famous South African rapper, one of the biggest megastars on the African continent. Of course, when the news broke, that people would have been very angry because, I mean, something like hashtag justice for AKA has been literally trending since the man's murder in this country. But nonetheless, the lawyer goes on to say the following. Now, she says the police had no reasonable cause to arrest her clients. They allowed the narrative of my clients being linked to the AKA investigation and didn't comment at the time. Then yesterday, they issue a statement, end of quote. Now, the thing is, what statement is she referring to? As I mentioned at the beginning, the police finally came out and actually said something on this matter. In previous episodes of Vuka Nazo, in fact, episode 139 and 140, or rather 140 and 141, I indicated the fact that the mum or the quietness of the SAPS was actually quite concerning. To this effect, the SAPS have come out and said the following. Now, on Wednesday, KwaZulu-Natal police appealed for patience as they continued with their investigation into the murders of Forbes and, of course, his manager, Utebelo Tibbs Motswane, who were murdered, of course, in Florida last month. Now, as I said, there's a lot of back and forth, toing and froing on this particular issue. Indeed, the South African Police Service needs to be a lot better in communicating this matter and also putting to rest if these are, as the lawyer suggests, merely rumors that have now placed her clients in danger. Remember, we still should be a society that respects the idea of the rule of law and the idea that people are presumed innocent until proven guilty. With that being said, we'll keep an eye on this matter as, again, we pursue the notion of there being justice for AKA. All right, it's that time on every Friday show, as we always have, as to whether we'll have a champ of the week, someone who's done something great, or an awesome moment in the week, or of course the Moemish of the week, that person who's had a blunder or a blunder in the week. Now, what do we have this week? We have a Moemish. And who is our Moemish of the week? G4S security company that ran the Mangaung prison where Thabo Bester escaped. And And why is G4S, the security company, the Moemish of the week? Well, their comments that they made in this past week, despite all the evidence and despite, of course, the Correctional Services Department effectively finally admitting that Thabo Bester is on the run, and the police, who were ahead of both these organizations, who are saying they're already launching a manhunt. But G4S still insists that Thabo Bester died in their prison. What a Moemish. Let me read from this ENCA piece where they said exactly this. Now, the Department of Correctional Services says it's in talks with security company G4S to get to the bottom of what transpired on the day Thabo Bester allegedly died. The company guards the prison where Bester, of course, was jailed. However, it insists, the company, that the man who died in the MotW Correctional Center in May last year was indeed Thabo Bester. Excuse me? Even with all the evidence? Now, there has been a development since this, and perhaps it's because of these claims being made by G4S, where the Correctional Services Department seemingly has now taken the decision to take over the management of this particular facility, which was, of course, contracted to G4S. Now, to this particular effect, the following has happened. Now, reading from this EWN piece, it says the National Commissioner of Correctional Services, Makgoti Thabo, announced the appointment of Patrick Masha-Batare as the temporary director. Of course, this comes after he said the G4S director, A1 Johan Teron, was removed from this position. And I must say this, perhaps that's for the better. And I'm not sure if the correctional services themselves, as the department running the prison now directly, will be any better. I mean, ultimately, this is the same department that itself also was in denial initially when this information came out. But nonetheless, answers need to be asked of not only correctional services as the department responsible for this prison, even if it was contracted to the Moemish G4S, but G4S itself must account. And thankfully, Parliament's Portfolio Committee on Justice and Correctional Services is asking for exactly that. Let me read this quick piece again in EWN, where the Parliament has asked both these entities, the private company G4S and the department, to come before the committee and account. Now, the Justice and Correctional Services Committee chairperson, Ubulelani Magwanishe, said earlier that the committee was only aware of the information it got from media reports about the alleged death in the fire. Now, members of the committee are expected to demand answers from not just correctional services, but also the company G4S, which was contracted to run the MotW Correctional Center. Committee member Jano Engelbrecht said that the department should immediately, or ultimately rather, account. End of quote. And here's the thing, I fully agreed, because at the end of the day, there is a escaped dangerous convicted murderer and rapist, Thabo Bester, who's on the run, who's using a myriad of aliases, whether it's TK Nkwane or Tom Motsepe or whatever the case may be, running these scam businesses. And he's said allegedly to be doing this, or being on the run allegedly, with his girlfriend or supposed customary law wife, A1 Dr. Nandi Pamakudu Mana. Now, this again demands that the police get on top of this so that we can have Thabo Bester being placed exactly where he belongs, and that is behind prison bars. And this time, hopefully, whoever manages the prison that he's in won't act like our Moemish of the week, G4S. All right, that's it for the Friday edition of the show. Let me know if you enjoyed it. How the best way you can, of course, do that is by hitting that like button, please. Whether you're watching on Facebook or on YouTube. If it is YouTube, guys, in both cases, actually, share the content and subscribe to the channel. Hit that bell notification so that you're notified every weekday from 7 a.m. when Vuka Nazo is on your screens. Remember, you can also get in touch with us by going to our website. That's BigDaddyLiberty.com. With that being said, thank you so much for watching. And if you really enjoyed this week's content, find me on Sunday at 8 p.m. for Liberty and Friends, where we wrap up the news week that was on the one long format show that I have. With that being said, thanks for watching. Shabbat Shalom. And I'll see you either on Friday or next week, Monday, for another episode of Vuka Nazo.